Hi, and welcome to the Skincarma Pod. I'm Carmine, the creator and voice of the Skincarma blog. With more than 25 years in beauty as a brand builder, copywriter, and skincare junkie, I'm putting my product wisdom and expertise to work demystifying skincare. Today on the Skincarma Pod, I'm excited to welcome my friend Alec Batis, a cosmetic chemist, product innovator, and founder of Sweet Chemistry, one of the most innovative skincare brands on the market today. Alec and I first met around the time I moved to New York City in the early 2000s to work for Kiehl's. We were both at L'Oreal at the time, but lost touch and only reconnected last year when I came across these intriguing and innovative skincare products in my work as a judge in the Beauty Matter Next Awards. They really stood out among the 150 or so products I was evaluating. You'll find out why shortly. Interestingly, our careers have followed similar meandering and dynamic paths through beauty. While I've focused on crafting and executing on brand and product identities, Alec has been focused on the science driving formula innovation and bringing some of the world's most beloved products to market for companies you know well: Pfizer, Shiseido, NARS, L'Oreal, and yes, Kiehl's. Sweet Chemistry seems to be the cherry on top. The brand's products bring real innovation to the skincare marketplace with original, first of its kind technology straight from the world of medicine. As if that differentiation weren't enough, Alec has applied insights he acquired in Big Beauty to elevate his products with functional levels of actives instead of mere marketing levels, as well as innovative packaging and preservation techniques. I could go on, but I have Alec here to elucidate all of it. This conversation is going to make your day as much as it's making mine. Let's talk to Alec. Alec, hi.
Hi there.
What's going on? You look like you're in some sort of lab. Are you in a lab? Where are you?
I'm actually not in the lab. I'm in our New York office.
Okay.
The lab's out in Parkside, Brooklyn. It's SUNY Downstate Medical Center, so
Yeah.
it's a trek. I live in Chelsea here, so I try to
It's
get
not
that.
a trek for me.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's not a trek for you. Yes, and you're welcome anytime.
Oh my god, I'm taking you up on that. I
Yeah.
I love going to labs. Like, for beauty, not for anything else, like City
Yes.
MD and stuff like that. But and I was at City MD last weekend. We don't have to get into it, but getting old,
Getting
getting
old.
old.
Yeah.
Okay, and these ailments happen on the weekends.
Thank
Like,
goodness. We'll start on the
yeah.
weekday too soon enough, but that's okay.
Don't jinx me. Anyway, I'm really happy to have you on. This is super exciting for me. I'm in love with the brand. I'm super impressed by it. I don't know that I think maybe you know that I came across the brand before I realized it was your brand. And so that was like super cool for me because I was like, whoa, what are these fantastic products? Like, this glass bottle is amazing, and the product technology is stuff I'd never seen before and never heard of matrikines. And we're gonna get into that a little bit more, but I want to hear about your background and how you started, and where things began for you.
Yes. Okay. So, as you know, I've been consulting actually for many years now. My consultancy was in everything from product formulation to marketing because I started out in the lab for Pfizer and the L'Oreal Group in 1990. So, a while ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I was claims chemist, QC chemist for Pfizer. Uh, um, a R&D chemist and also a VA chemist. And VA chemist means value analysis chemist. What that
Okay.
is, say when a company is looking to, say, purchase another company,
Mm-hmm.
they want to see if it's going to be worth their money, right? And if there's any cost efficiencies in terms of the formula and cost of goods. So I would look at different formulas to see if there was a way to maximize cost efficiency, which basically means, picking and choosing the ingredients you're going to sort of put in for efficacy and picking and choosing the other ingredients that you're going to put in for story. So what you put
Oh
in,
yeah.
for at what they call marketing levels or fairy dust,
Yeah.
so that marketing can talk about them
And copywriters can write about them and name products
Copywriters can
after them. Yeah.
copyright about them, can make
Yeah.
copy about them, but they're in there at such a minute amount that it doesn't have to cost, and so your profit margins are increased. Right, it's the business of beauty.
Yeah.
Right? And I did my job well. And the trick is to bring down the active levels to marketing levels and lower the costs, but keep the texture and the finish exactly the same, because you don't want the end consumer to feel that there's a difference, right, in the product experience. Yeah. So working on that, I did a pretty good job of that. So they switched me to marketing in the mid 90s, that L'Oreal group, and worked in marketing. So then I would write the briefs to the lab, telling them what cost I need everything at, what to do with marketing levels, etc. And then moving on from there was Victoria's Secret Beauty when it started, Body by Victoria, and then finally had a marketing for NARS Cosmetics until 2008. So the scope of work I had enabled me to go to a lot of brands and be able to help them from everything from R&D to marketing. That was my model. But then in a couple years ago, I went to go see a potential customer, a potential client, new client. It was COVID during the time, and I could use every client I could get.
I was the same way. I was like, whatever.
Never know what's
going to
happen, so I'm taking everybody. And luckily, I had a couple of big clients, so those are going well. But I went to go see this lab, and usually when I go see a client, it's at an office or wherever, and they, when they're talking about their sort of technology, they're talking about, I don't know, like a mushroom peptide or a bok choy extract that cures everything. Like there's always the story, right? And you're like excited, right? You're like, okay, I'm going to get a great retainer. It's a great creative story, a great brand, great founders, and you go to town marketing and going at it. Well, when I got to this lab, as I mentioned, it's 2 floors of the SUNY Downstate Medical Center. And I was like, oh, this is an acute downtown startup office. And I was like, what's going on here? And as I went to the lab, I looked at the other side of the hallway, and it was the AIDS vaccine lab.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And Dorothy is not in campus anymore or something, right? And I was like, oh, what's this? So I sat down in the labs with the team at Xilex Bio. It's called Xilex Bio, and they explained to me that they were originally out of Columbia University's lab for stem cell and tissue engineering, and that they had made a lot of progress in terms of the tissue engineering part of the title, where they were now able to, amongst several different projects, take extracellular matrix technologies and work to repair organs or organ tissue. And one of the projects was in 2019, and this is covered New York Times in 2019, they were able to take a deceased, damaged donor lung that was refused by all the transplant surgeons across the U.S. 3 out of 4 lungs are usually denied because they're just too damaged for transplant. So they're literally thrown in the garbage.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yes, hence the long wait lists, long wait lists for organ transplant. So they took one of the deceased damaged lungs that was refused, and together, it's not just them, it's them with Columbia, Stanford, Vanderbilt, NYU Langone. Each of the team members has a function, like the surgeons for lung are from Vanderbilt, but the biomaterial is from Xilex. So they went in, and within a day and a half, they were able to regenerate the lung tissue so that it was transplantable. So the lung was transplantable.
Oh my God. That's insane.
It was a huge...
This lung that normally would have been thrown out.
Exactly. The truth is, what they've explained to me is that there are a lot of organs that are thrown out, and it's not that they're like horribly damaged from smoking. It's like they're damaged, but they could be regenerated. It's not that much. So it's not like a miracle where they take a horrible lung and make it perfect. It's just they are able to reverse some damage, right, to make it transplantable. So it's science fiction, but it's not, right? So this year will be the first human trial. compassionate use case human trial where someone who's been waiting for a lung but's not going to make it, they volunteer to be the first human trial. So this year will be the first human trial, and then they're going into $25 million heart, liver, and lung trials. And if those are successful, then that could effectively wipe the organ transplant wait lists globally. So the work they're doing in tissue engineering is quite substantial. Now, how does that relate to skincare? I'm like, okay, well, what am I doing here?
Yeah, right. Were you sure you were at the right address?
I think I'm in the right place, but I'm into beauty and skincare.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you guys are saving lives, but that's not my job. So he says, well, some of these extracellular matrix technologies, where they take the extracellular matrix and they extract bioactive peptides out of them, right? Signaling peptides. They said they mapped over 315 of them, peptidomic data. They've done all these studies. And then they said they took a look at the beauty peptides, and they were like, oh, the beauty peptides are trying to mimic the extracellular matrix. Like when you read about the beauty peptides, the pamphlets that you get from the suppliers, the goal that they have is to synthesize a couple of them that are from the extracellular matrix. And then they hope, and those are, I think, about 800 and something Daltons, and they do the best they could to synthesize them. They came out in year 2000, and every company uses them. We all use them. Yeah. It's just we call them something different in our marketing, right? To make it unique versus the next guy who's buying the same peptides, right?
Yeah.
So I just figured that those are the peptides that are going to be existing for the rest of our lives. And, every 5 years, one more synthetic one comes out. And,
totally.
We all hope it works.
They're in everything. And we're talking the common peptides that we see on our ingredient labels and marketing, like Ghirelline and Matrixyl and all of that stuff, right?
All those are in the marketing, but then in the marketing they call it, G567 complex. But it's really Matrixyl and some ceramide, right? And then, but then on the ingredient list, those names are really long, so people don't do it.
Yeah, there's hexapeptide 8, oligopeptide 2, blah, blah, blah. They're on every ingredient list.
If you Google them, or Google them, they're in every product that ever existed, right? They're all in all products.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and they're really good for skin, right?
They're good for skin. Well,
they have good clinical backing behind them. It's a matter of, is it a smattering of that, or is it a significant amount, right? Like, that's what it comes down to.
Exactly. And let's just say there's some evidence, and then there's a whole lot of hoping, right?
Yes, of course.
I'm included. Like I make sure I have all those peptides, like, just in case they really do work. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing's conclusive, right? Of course, but the evidence seems to be there. So we've used them. Yeah. So when I saw that they had actually taken what we were trying to mimic in the beauty industry, and they were extracting it out of several kinds of organs for lung repair and surgery, they take lung matrikines, and they extract the matrikine peptides out of lung tissue. And then they use it as a sealant and repairing during lung surgeries to repair punctures that happen to prevent mortality. Wow. And those are in animal studies at the moment, but they're moving into human trials. And then this particular one, they take the over 300 matrikine peptides extracted out of upcycled bovine bone from the food industry. So all of the extracellular matrix that's contained in the bone, they basically hydrolyzed out all those peptides. And I'm like, okay, so I have the few synthetic ones from the beauty industry that I've purchased for 25 years. Mm-hmm. And then I have the actual ones that they actually extract in nature. Not that natural is better than synthetic, but the actual hundreds of these peptides, bioactive. I just thought to myself, oh, this is very new. This is an advancement. Yeah. And it took them 8 years and $8 million in government NIH funding for medicine. But the bonus benefit is that it's working for all organs, not just heart, liver, lung, but also skin. So they said to me, look, we see that the beauty industry's kind of had the same ones for a long time. And, we're not going to knock those, but we got something, we got the real deal, kind of, right? So they're like, here's
Yeah.
all our data. We know nothing about beauty. We're really focused on human trials for transplant. So we need someone who understands the science, but yet can make it sexy in marketing.
That was certainly you. I mean, wow.
And
Yeah.
we met, and they'd come across some people who were more sort of product development oriented, but they felt
Hmm.
they didn't have the marketing skill set. And then they met a bunch of marketers who were so confused by the technology they didn't even know what to do. So
Yeah.
finally they found what was the Goldilocks, the one that was just in the middle. The I was Goldilocks. Um, yeah, and then I was like, you know what? Instead of consulting, I think I'm going to put up my entire retirement and my only asset, my home, as collateral to get a $500,000 loan from the Small Business Administration, which is probably the most foolish thing I could ever have done in my entire life. But I was like,
That's what you thought on the train ride home?
oh,
You're
for
like,
sure. I was like, what am I doing?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I was consulting and making, finally after decades, Carmine, like you finally start making the money you dreamed you would. Like I was finally making good money consulting.
yeah,
And I had it kind of like, it was easy for me. I was living the life. I was making good money. I could retire, like, and for some reason I decided to risk it all in my late 50s, right? So
yeah,
I just thought if I don't do this, it's never going to happen. I want these peptides myself.
hmm
And I just thought, wow, this is something really novel that I didn't know existed, and I thought I knew it all. And
yeah. You've seen it all, but all of a sudden you see something super innovative that actually has authenticity, legitimacy. All of that lent from medicine, and you just seized it, right? Like
yes,
life is about carpe diem. Like you seized it. I
exactly. Do
get
I wish
it.
it happened at 40? Yes. I wish it was. I wish
Yes.
it was a little earlier, but it happens when it happens. Also, the
Yeah.
work that Xilex is doing, Dr. John O'Neill, who is heads as chief science officer of Xilex, his best friend's dad died of fibrosis of the lungs.
Hmm.
We spent much of his childhood like in hospital, and his goal in life is to be able to repair organs, right? And like the passion that he has for that is also infectious. So it's like, wow, like they own a big chunk of sweet chemistry. And if it's successful, like all I know is if anyone knows biomedical research, it's constantly grant writing. Like you just write grants, write grant applications all the time because it's usually government funding. And as we all
Yeah.
know now, especially now with the FDA and such a mess, that even some of their funding from government has been pulled too. Like,
Right.
right? So like they're scrambling and they don't know and they don't they're and I hope they're okay with me saying this, but they're not social. They don't know all the investor world, right? Like they were
Right.
buying government grants, right?
Yeah.
And they're
Yeah.
not they're not out there knowing how to fundraise and go to whatever party and connect with whoever, right? So I just also thought that me being in the beauty industry, I'd probably make this more of a success faster than you can in the field of medicine, which takes forever. Um,
Yeah.
I could raise awareness, so that's for our social mission: raise awareness for the work they're doing, raise funds for the work they're doing. So it gave me a little bit more of a purpose for my beauty experience, of something to feel good about, that
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. We're all looking for that kind of genuine, like because we're in the same business and we've been in the same business for a long time. And I often say that when I die, I'm going to get to the pearly gates, and St. Peter, is it St. Peter? St. Peter's going to have his scroll, and he's going to talk to me about all the lies I told on product packaging, or in marketing concepts. So when you see something authentic and it's substantive, you latch on to that because all of a sudden it has meaning. I mean,
yes,
otherwise it's just another cleanser or another moisturizer, right?
yes,
Like with
yes.
proprietary peptides in it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I mean, I love that, but can we talk? I want to back up for a second and talk about matrikines, because we're talking about matrikines like everybody who's listening to this knows what a matrikine is, and it's probably the first time they've heard of it. So, like, what is a matrikine extracellular matrix peptide?
Yes. So in nature, and so
Mm-hmm.
matrikines with an I are
Yeah.
biology. They occur in nature. So your skin, right, is full of all sorts of proteins like collagen, elastin, fibronectin, hyaluronate, et cetera, right?
Yeah.
Polysaccharides. There's growth factors floating in there. And, there's a whole world that surrounds each cell. So stem cells
Yeah.
are the rock stars, but someone's got to keep the stem cells living and sustained, right? So
Mm.
that the
Mm-hmm.
extracellular matrix supports stem cells, all living, all life, and within it all the proteins, and it's the structure of the skin is the extracellular matrix that surrounds all cells. Gives it
Got it.
all the collagen, elastin, fibronectin, etc. So what
Mm-hmm.
happens is in life, the extracellular matrix breaks down, right, with all the enzymes, and and it breaks down into what they call matrikine peptides in your own skin. It's not like a
Oh,
technology; it's biology. You learn it in biology class, right?
right.
And
Yeah.
actually, I had to relearn it because I actually forgot all that. But
You weren't
anyways,
paying attention to that in 10th
oh
grade biology
no,
any more
John,
than I was.
Dr.
Yeah.
O'Neill gave me sort of the re-lesson, and I'm like, oh yeah. And then these matrikines are signaling peptides in nature. There's no
Mm-hmm.
skincare involved at this point, right?
Right. Yeah.
And they work to signal to remodel extracellular matrix. But the problem is that surrounds all cells and keeps your structure and keeps the cells healthy and growing and replicating and all this. Over time with age, it just becomes less efficient. It works less.
Yeah.
And then and then the melanocytes, there starts to be issues. So you start to get dark spots and pigmentation, and all of a sudden you're not producing as much collagen as you used to. And like
And your skin thins and folds on
all
itself,
that
and you have
stuff
surface
that
wrinkles, and you're an old hag and you die.
you're old hag and you die. Yes.
Yeah.
So and that's just it. So what these companies tried to do 25 years ago is how can we synthesize some of these matrikine peptides and make something similar that could give some signals to help boost the signaling so that you could make more collagen like you kind of used to when you were younger. That was the idea.
Yeah.
And they came out with those. And then we all saw this and we're all like, oh my God, we got to put those in our products because they're the best thing we have, right? To do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, you know, 25 years goes by, and then, so what Xilex did is they're actually not inventing anything. They just sucked out what's actually, in nature from the bone, right? Because, bone
Mm-hmm.
is made up of primarily collagen 1.
Mm.
So they just extracted all those peptides out and then what they do is supplement it on the skin, and if they're under 400, 500 Daltons. So it's
Yay.
still
They
bioactive.
penetrate.
And
Yeah.
the other synthetic ones are like 800, 900.
Okay. So they don't penetrate as
Well,
well.
we make penetration enhancers, right? So
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
people talk about all the peptides, it's always like, well, do you have a delivery system, right?
Right.
Propylene glycol and everything else that we do to try to get it in, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
on the
Mm-hmm.
surface of the skin, they're hydrating, they're humectant. So even on the surface, they do something.
Yeah.
But these ones are mostly under 500 Daltons, so very little delivery system needed. We still do have penetration enhancers just because it's nice to have quick penetration.
Yeah.
But in nature, they are lower molecular weight. And
Mm-hmm.
then they're freshly extracted from the upcycled bovine bone, so highly bioavailable and bioactive. And so what that does is when we're older and our own matrikines are a little less productive and a little lazy, tired, we're not making as much.
You look like your matrikines are a little tired
Your
today.
matrikines are a little tired these days. Um, So it's basically supplying matrikine peptides, signaling peptides, to accentuate what you already are doing in nature in terms of remodeling your collagen. This is why the scar tissue, the scar study clinicals that they've done, and the lung repair is
Yeah.
speeding up the reparative system, which is basically the remodeling of your extracellular matrix proteins.
Got it. Wow, that's so fascinating. And so you were using some form of these matrikines yourself before you put them in the products, yeah?
So people ask me all the time, they're like, well, because I say I've used my formulas for 35 years, right? And those are separate from the matrikines. My formulas used to have all the industry peptides in them.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
So up until 5 years ago, when I kind of met Xylex, I was
Mhm.
using my formulas with the industry peptides, and I'll tell you why my formulas are different and why I have a patent pending on the formulas. But the actual peptide part of the formula, I was using industry, and then 5 years ago I met them, and yes, Xylex has provided me the peptides. So I've been putting them in my own formulas, just that I make in my own home, and
Yeah.
now commercially available. So the matrikine peptides have only been with me for the past 5 years. Do I
Mhm.
think I've seen a difference? First of all, have I aged? Yes, I have aged. The goal isn't, the idea isn't 4 weeks and you look 10 years younger. Like, I'll leave that up to the 1-800 number, like, ridiculousness of that. This is slowing down the aging process and making the skin healthier. So, for example, the one thing I've noticed is, yes, my skin integrity is not that of a almost 57-year-old person, that I've
Yeah.
managed to maintain a good health of the skin. Do I do a few extra, like a little Botox and little fillers? Yes. Do I still have lines? Yes, I do, because I just do a little bit because I like my face to move. Um,
Yeah.
all the tricks, but the idea is, it's just like nutrition. Do you keep your skin healthy on a daily basis with hydration and nourishment and treatment? Do you keep your body, do you just eat healthily once a week and the rest of the week you eat McDonald's? No, like
Right.
every
Yeah.
day. Before I go out in the morning, I make sure that I have the product on, which has a plethora of antioxidants and the peptides. The reason why I mention antioxidants specifically, and the difference in the formula at least, is because all the years I was formulating for others,
Mhm.
the marketing level or the story was the antioxidants.
Yeah, isn't that so sad? Like, we grew up in a big beauty era where antioxidants were an afterthought. They were just marketing fun. I remember conversations at Keels where antioxidants were kind of becoming a thing, and the approach at the time was that antioxidants are great to target to girls in their early 20s because it's considered premature signs of aging. And hello, like antioxidants in my daily routine, antioxidants are as important as sunscreen.
Totally. I've always felt the same way. So actually, there was someone who was trying to take my technology. I had to defend it, and the lawyer said to me, "Oh, well, if you were making this at home, you would have to have shelves full of this product in airless containers and blah, 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 airtight containers and all this. So, like, did you really do that?" So I took my iPhone and I took a picture of my kitchen slash lab. And I'm like, yes. The whole point was for 30, not just once in a while, for 35 plus years, I made sure in my own product that I made at home, I
Mhm.
had functional levels of every water-based antioxidant, oil-based antioxidant, and every enzymatic antioxidant. I made sure that was on my face and skin before I walked out the door. Because in New
Mm.
York City, it's free radical, like, central.
It's a free radical paradise.
Exactly. So, like, it's not just about sunscreen. It's about, you're right, it's about fighting free radical damage.
Yeah, yeah.
When we learned in chemistry, we learned about free radical damage when it came to the rubber from tires, and how
Oh
rubber
my
starts off
god.
soft, and
Mhm.
how rubber hardens and cracks
Yeah.
because of exposure to environmental free radicals. Those free radicals come and create reactions, and then the different layers of the rubber flatten and then harden and crack. Same thing as our skin. So from the moment I heard that when I was doing my degree in chemistry, I was like, oh my God, the rubber's like my skin. I'm going to
Oh
make
my
sure
God.
I have antioxidant protection, right? Like,
Yeah,
yeah, and we ingest antioxidants for protection, right?
for sure.
Oh,
Astaxanthin, niacinamide, all of that,
I,
vitamin C.
and I don't want to blow up antioxidants like they're going to save your life or anything, but
Of
there's
course.
a purpose. And
Yeah.
so I like to have them on my skin to fight any free radicals that are attacking the surface of my skin. So what that means I have to do is put functional levels of all of the
Yeah.
ingredients. But the problem is, in all my life formulating, the general formula for an emulsion is
Mhm.
80% water, 10%
Mhm.
emulsifier to bring the oil and water together so it becomes a cream. That leaves
Yep.
you 10% for all the goodies, for all the actives.
Yeah.
So the reason why marketing levels has become so accepted, like it's not an industry secret. We all know it. We all write the briefs. And all the formulators know it. Like we have to pick and choose which ones we're really going to put in and which ones we're going to say we put in, right?
Right. Yeah.
And it's we all accept it. And the reason why I accept it is because before in an emulsion we only had 10% to work with, so you couldn't put all those things in at functional levels. You had to pick and
Yeah.
choose. So
Yeah.
that's why we didn't call it lying. That's why we called it marketing levels, right?
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
felt okay about it. So what I've always done at home was I'm like, well, why should you have an 80% emulsion? And everyone says, well, if you have any less than that, your emulsion is going to break and not be stable.
Oh.
So I made a 50% emulsion, right?
Mhm.
And you can even see my emulsion's not the strongest in the original cream, right? It's a weak
In this
emulsion.
one, right?
You can see it's not a strong
It's
emulsion. It's a kind of a
yeah,
creamy
it's like it's
serum.
lotiony.
It's
It's
lotion.
lotiony.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which the new lipid cream, which is replacing that, I've actually managed to beef it up as well to make it richer, more stable as well. But the trick is when you lower the water. So I lowered the water to 50 from 80. I lowered the
Mhm.
emulsifier to 5 from 10. What that left me was 45% of this bottle is everything you see in the ingredient list, active wise, at functional levels.
Right. Wow, yeah.
So it's not about having more of one active because CoQ10 you don't want more than zero point 0.5 because
Right.
it's not that more is better. It's just we have more of them at their appropriate level, not marketing level. So
Yeah.
everything, I put my 1% line on the ingredient list as well, so people can at least see what's really above 1%, but they don't have to guess.
Mhm.
But for my skin, I want every single one of those lipids, antioxidants, anti-inflammatories, peptides. Oh, and by the way, we now have all of the industry peptides in there and copper peptides, as well as the matrikines, because we also felt that we didn't want people to feel like they had to like jump from their favorite peptide serum and
Yeah.
and jump to matrikines. So I put in functional levels, which ain't cheap. The good ones from Spain ain't cheap. I put all of those in here, even though I think matrikines are better. Um,
Yeah.
now I have it, so no one has FOMO, but all the amino acids, every single one of them. Ceramides, for example, it's not 3% blend, which is really zero point 0.5. It's full 3% ceramides. So
Mhm.
you got like the balance and hydration, etc., the lipids, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
The
that's the
lipid replenishment.
lipid replenishment, phytosphingosine, like I said, all of the antioxidants, which is why it's also expensive. And so 45% of the bottle versus 10%. So that's what you pay. That's what the money's going for. The money that you spend is also going for the matrikines because they produce currently the matrikines in SUNY Downstate Medical Center for every batch.
In Brooklyn. Yay.
The Wall Street Journal came out and did an article that's coming out in the next couple weeks, I hope. They came, they
Mhm.
saw the whole lab, they saw the manufacturing of these peptides, everything. It wasn't a beauty editor it was like what do you call it, like an investigative reporter,
Oh.
who was looking at all our studies in depth, like even questioning methodology, right? So it was an in depth. It's coming out soon, I hope. It's supposed to be in April, so hopefully soon. But
Okay.
it's apparently a 2,000 something word piece on science in the skincare industry. What's
Wow. I can't
um,
wait to read. I might have to resubscribe.
Yes, hopefully I'll get a free copy and I'll give you one. But
Okay, yeah.
but yeah, so between the matrikine substituting in for coming in on top of the peptides that I had, the 45% active load, and then all within the airless glass. So this is the world's only airless glass, which means that yes, the the piston, and first of all, yes, it's 14 grams of plastic in the pump only.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel really good about that. And the glass isn't necessarily more sustainable, by the way, because usually glass is heavy, it's heavier, so it's more carbon emissions to make and then also ship.
Shipping,
So
yeah.
glass in and of itself isn't more sustainable, which is why we made the glass ultra fine, lighter than plastic airless counterparts, so that the carbon emissions are lower. But then also, instead of usually most airless bottles are about 140 grams of plastic.
Mm-hmm.
Ours is only in the pump, which is 14 grams of plastic, which is 90% less plastic for every bottle. So there's a part of me that feels much better about my use in a year is just 4 pumps, 4 little pumps of plastic waste, and the glass is recyclable fine. It's made in Italy, but the reason too is so that the glass can ship from Italy to East Coast instead of China to East Coast, which is more carbon emissions, right, than freight,
Yeah.
and the quality as well from Italy. So yes, the glass and the airless protects the air from getting inside, because if you leave our product out, it's going to turn dark brown and separate. If you leave
Leave it exposed to air, which it's not.
even the little bit inside the pump, inside
Oh,
the
okay.
even that. Oh, if you leave it for a week, it'll like oxidize. You'll have a
Yeah.
little dark brown spot. And
We all
people
see that on our vitamin C serums.
in the
Yeah.
vitamin C serums, exactly. But
Yeah.
have you ever noticed that you don't see that in your moisturizers? Like you could leave out most moisturizers, like in a jar with
Oh, with the lid off. With
with the
the
lid
lid
off,
off.
and 5 days later, it's still white. It's just kind of crusty, right? It's just crusty white. This
Yes.
this will go like this will, because you know why? There's antioxidants in it.
Of course. I tell people all the time, please don't spend money on an anti-aging product or moisturizer with anti-aging benefits if it's in a jar. If you have a moisturizer in a jar and all it's doing is replenishing your lipids, it's just
Right.
ceramides,
Yep.
I don't hyaluronic acid, whatever. But if there's serious things in there like antioxidants, like I just literally came across a moisturizer with retinol in a jar and I almost died. I'm like, "What? Why would you put retinol in a jar or a sunscreen in a jar?" Like that just
Yeah.
kills me.
And
Oh my
also
god.
airless systems. There's been some reports that there's a wide variance in quality of airless systems, right?
Where
First of all,
they let some air in.
exactly. And they might not
Yeah.
necessarily be better than droppers or whatever, which is
Right.
true. It all depends on the mechanism, right? Luckily, we've tested ours, and the proof is in the pudding. If you squirt the stuff out and you leave it for like a day, I mean, it's going to separate and be brown, right?
I'll have to
It'll
try it.
oxidize. Yes.
Yeah. I'll
Um,
get back to you tomorrow morning and
thank
let
you.
you know how the back of my hand is looking.
Yes. Um, the other thing about the ingredients, though, too, for me, anyways, like for me, it's like, would I leave the raw materials in my shelves, like not in an airtight container, not
Of course,
any
right.
one of them? Would I just leave them open and then make my next batch next month? It's like no, right? So there's a part of me that just the integrity of the formulation and the product, and also if it's going to sit on someone's shelf.
Right, totally.
I just want to, from batch to batch of formulation, I want to keep the lid on, keep the air out of all of my raw materials, no matter what it is,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And I just don't want exposed and sitting there, right? If I made it fresh, which I have, and then just used it, then
Yeah.
oh, it's open and it's fine. I'm using it up right now. But if it's
Yeah,
gonna
that's
sit
different.
there for a long, God knows how long, and travel with me and whatever, it's like I'd rather the raw materials be as protected. I'd rather the formula be as protected. It's just to me the sort of utmost in integrity. Not to say you can't use any one of those products and get wonderful hydration. It's just
Yeah,
what it is. I'm picky. I think I'm more. We call it skincare with the skin obsessed. I think
I
I'm
like
just
that.
a little obsessed with that. So
Yeah.
I'm not actually knocking any. They all work. They're all fine. They're all great. I think I'm just I'm particular.
You also know, like, you know how formulas work, you know how ingredients interact, you know how they interact with the air, with water. You know too much.
Yeah, and I know there's all the things, and you know what even makes me more nervous? There's all the things
Mhm.
I don't know.
Mm.
So I'd rather just take that extra caution. And for me, I love these formulas so much. I love these ingredients, and I spend a fortune. Like the extracts. I mean, I could get the extracts from off the shelf at the contract manufacturer, right? Like they're sitting there.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I order the organic because I don't like pesticide residue on my microbiome. I have
Mhm.
an order made to order. So when I order it, they make the extract, they CO2 extract that from organic plant materials, and then I have to wait to get it. The contract manufacturer's like, well, we have this on the shelf ready to go for everybody else that we
No.
do. Why don't you just throw that in there? And I'm like,
Yeah.
because that stuff's been sitting there. And like, I don't know where you got it and how you got it and this and that. I want to use my
Right.
own suppliers where I know where it's coming from, right? And they're making it for me on the spot,
Yeah.
shipping
That's
it,
awesome.
with better quality. I think better quality. Well, I used to be QC for Pfizer. You don't
So
want
you
your
know. Yeah.
You don't want your type 2 diabetes drug to not be QC. Trust me.
Right. Oh, Alex, this is so great. So the brand is called Sweet Chemistry.
Yeah.
You can check it out at sweetchemistry.com. You just launched two new products. What's the difference
Yes.
between that new range and the existing?
Yes. Existing was for very dry, dehydrated. The facial oil, which, all that.
Me. That's
For
me.
me too, like
Yep.
over 50 and dry and dehydrated.
Yeah.
The new was the same cream and a serum, but water based for oilier, more easily prone to breakouts. Basically, me
Hmm.
until 50.
Okay.
The lighter, all the same actives. So there's no trendy new actives ever. It's all the clinically proven actives at
Yeah.
functional levels, plus the matrikines, but in a delivery system that's less emollient for oilier, more combination skin types.
Got it. Terrific. So hopefully, people will check those out, sweetchemistry.com. I have one more question for you, and I've just started implementing this on the podcast. I talk a lot about demystifying beauty and demystifying skincare. What's one thing you'd like to demystify here on the podcast today?
Demystify about skincare?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Probably that skincare is the long game. Just like, nourishing your body, taking care of the health of your body. It's the same
Mhm.
thing. I'd like to really say, and we're just as guilty of it, trying to, in 4 weeks, you're going to get this.
Yeah.
What I kind of want to say about skincare, which we don't say often, is because we're always trying to sell the product with a miracle. Um,
Mhm.
it's just, at the end of the day, it's very simple. You want all the best ingredients, all the best actives their most potent and quality, and you want to
Mhm.
use those, whatever you use, on a daily basis before you walk out into the world, and then repair it when you come home each and every day, like you take care of your body.
Yeah.
It's not for me, it's not about like treating your skin like shit and not paying attention to it, and then like zapping it with invasive procedures, really intensely, right? It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and the other thing that I'll just say one more thing about demystify is people think that procedures are going to make you look, better, younger, healthier. But the truth is, procedures are only really as good as the health of your skin going into them.
Yeah.
So the thing that people forget is that, you know, the people that you see there, they don't have a wrinkle on their face, but they look kind of like a Martian and
Hmm.
and like kind of sallow, even though there's no wrinkle whatsoever. It's like, and then you see other people that have tons of wrinkles, but like their skin is glowing and light brights up a room, and they really attractive. So to me, it's more about telling people how to take care of the skin on a daily basis so that if you choose to, whether you choose to have a procedure or not, at least it's going to look good.
Yeah. To make skincare routine.
Yes.
Good place to end on. Thank you
All
so
right.
much, Alec. This is
Me
great.
too.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Carmine. Me too.
All right. Ciao.
Bye.
Oh, whoa. How insightful was that? I could have wonked out with Alec about matrikines and peptides and, you know, organ transplants, all of it. You have to check out his products. They really are true innovation. Really, really high quality. And like he said, very high levels of actives, not just marketing levels. That really makes a difference to your skin health. Thank you for listening to the Skincarma Pod. Find more insights, real talk, and reviews of my favorite skincare products on the Skincarma blog at skincarma.com. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please rate and review this episode. It helps me to reach more listeners. Ciao.